Good morning and welcome back. We are on day 271 of our 365 days of Bible study. At the moment we're looking at the parables of Jesus, and this morning we're looking at Matthew chapter 21 verses 28 to 46, which contains two parables, the parable of the two sons and the parable of the wicked tenants. Jesus was speaking to the chief priests and elders in the temple. So what does it seem like to you? A man had two sons. To the first he went and said, "Today I want you to go and work in the vineyard." He said, "I'll go," but he didn't go. He then went over to the second and said the same. He said, "No, I don't want to go," but later the second one thought better of it and went. Which of the two did what his father wanted? They said, "The second one." Jesus said to them, "Let me tell you then that the tax collectors and the prostitutes are going into the kingdom of God ahead of you. For John the Baptist came to you, showing you the right path to take, and you wouldn't believe him. But the tax collectors and the prostitutes did. And even when you saw that happening, you didn't subsequently change your minds and believe him." Now here's another parable for you. Once upon a time there was a landowner who planted a vineyard. He rooted a hedge around it and dug a place for a winepress. He built a watchtower for it and let it out to tenants before he set off for a long trip abroad. As the time for the vintage drew closer, he sent his agents to the tenants to fetch back with them what it had earned him. The tenants took hold of his agents. One they beat up, one they killed, and one they stoned. Not to be put off, he sent even more agents, but they treated them the same way. Afterwards he sent his son, saying to himself, "I'm sure they will respect my son." But when the tenants saw it was the son, they said to each other, "He's the one who will inherit the vineyard. Come on, let's kill him, and the vineyard will be ours." They took him, threw him out of the vineyard, and killed him. What do you think the owner of the vineyard will do to those tenants when he comes? They replied, "He will destroy those bad people, for sure, and he will rent the vineyard to more worthy tenants who will deliver the fruits to him at harvest time." Jesus then said to the chief priests and elders in the temple, "Surely you've read what the scriptures say. The stone which the builders rejected has become the load-bearing cornerstone. The Lord has done this, and what a wonderful thing it is to see." What I'm telling you is this: the kingdom of God will be taken off you and given to a people who deliver the fruits of it. When the chief priests and the Pharisees heard his parables, they knew he was speaking about them. But when they wanted to arrest him, they were afraid of the crowds who saw Jesus as a prophet. Back on day 264, we read the story of the prodigal son and his brother from St. Luke's Gospel. Some people have suggested that Matthew's story about the two brothers comes from the same original. But either Matthew's version is a short summary, or Luke's is an elaboration of what was originally said. Here, Matthew has gathered together stories that were strongly critical of the established religion of Israel, and the tension between Jesus, whom the crowds regarded as a prophet, and the establishment traditionalists were reaching a critical stage. Jesus is in danger of being arrested, but the crowds love him. The parable about the vineyard, is an allegorical one, and Jesus' opponents knew it. The early Christians saw themselves as the new tenants who would inherit the vineyard once justice had been served. The priests, lawyers, and Pharisees are meant to see themselves as the wicked tenants who had mistreated and slain the prophets sent as God's agents. The vineyard itself is the kingdom of God, a kingdom that they will not inherit, particularly as they want to kill the son and heir. This allegory is therefore also used by Matthew as a prediction of the passion of Christ, who will be cast out of the city and crucified. Of course, the establishment wanted to get rid of Jesus. There was little possibility that he would soften his message or come over to their side. The full implications of Jesus calling himself the son of the owner of the vineyard would not become apparent until after the first Easter and the resurrection. But then his nature would be more fully understood, as would be the significance of his death on the cross. As with today's parable, so with tomorrow's, we have the evangelist St. Matthew preparing us for the events of the first Easter and the consequences of it for those who are not ready for it. I'll see you tomorrow, and we'll learn a little about watchfulness. See you then.